Today is August 2nd, 2026, and welcome to the 499th episode of the So Videogames podcast. Here on the show, I talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. My name is Brad Galloway, and I am the one-man host of the show, and I'm also the editor of GameCritics.com, a reviews website that offers full accessibility information on every review that we publish. Hello! Thank you for joining me today on this lovely Sunday, or at least it's Sunday as I am recording. It is a nice, cool, cloudy day outside, which is great. It's a little respite, little relief from the relentless heat we've been getting lately. And it's been so bad in this area, the Pacific Northwest, recording in Seattle. Parts of eastern Washington, pretty far where I live, are like all on fire. There's people who are losing their homes and they are fleeing danger, like literally as we speak at this moment that I'm recording. So my heart goes out to all the people in eastern Washington. I hope you all stay safe and get out of those fires. And you know, you can always rebuild. You can always claim insurance or whatever, but you got to get out of there with your life. So hopefully everybody's getting out safe. Best wishes and Godspeed to all those folks trying to get away from the fires. So, okay. What are we doing? We're doing a show today. Got some games, going to do some chat. I don't know. Podcast, I guess. Who knows? Let's do a friggin' podcast. All right. Housekeeping today. I feel like there was some stuff, but man, I don't know. It's been a busy week. Who knows? I'm lucky to be upright and conscious enough to be doing a podcast right now. Quick update on stuff. The wife and I are rearranging the house. We had our son move out recently. He is 17, going to be 18 in less than a year. And he wanted his own space. And we were like, cool, go for it. And we want our own space. And that's fine. So it's been going on for a while. This is not a new thing, but we kind of finally got around to like reorganizing the kitchen, kind of like changing things up. And we spent like all of the last couple days doing that. And it's coming along. It's pretty good. But you know, the problem with rearranging things is like you've got this vision and it just takes a long time to get there. A lot of little details, a lot of moving things around, and along the way it's going to be pretty messy. So we're just now recovering from some of that mess. I feel like we've got the kitchen in pretty good shape, and I think it's coming. Other updates. I talked about this in the Discord already, but y'all know that I do have chickens. I have at the moment 12 chickens, and that's a pretty good number of chickens. We have a lot of eggs. We give them out to our neighbors, and you know, it's just fun to have them. But I have been wanting a couple of more chickens. Like when you get a couple chickens are like a real gateway animal, because like you feel like you're going to be like, oh, 2 chickens. That's fine. I'll have 2 eggs. If I only eat eggs a couple times a week, I will always have a couple of eggs on hand, and it'll be fun, and they're easy to take care of. And that's all true. But it's a very slippery slope when you get chickens. You get a couple, then you're like, oh, but there's all these other ones that look so interesting and cool, and their feathers are so neat, and their eggs are such a nice color, and oh, maybe like 1 or 2 more. You know, taking care of 3 chickens is not really any different than taking care of 2, and taking care of like 6 is barely different at all than taking care of 3, and then before you know it, you got a whole friggin' flock in your backyard. So I have 12 right now, and I was surfing online as you do, and I saw finally, okay, so I've had my eye on a couple of chickens for a while now, and I just have not pulled the trigger. Didn't know how to get them because they were Brazilian. They were Brazilian chickens, and I didn't want to have to mess around with customs and figure out the language differences and whatever kind of taxes. And it's a big hassle to bring any kind of animal across country lines, just FYI. Lots of problems with, protecting each country from non-indigenous animals, invasive species, parasites, diseases, so forth and so on. It's a hassle. But I just found a chicken place that has taken care of all that for me. And the chickens that I've been after are called the Indio Gigante chickens. They, I guess, are originally from India, and then they were brought to Brazil for some reason. And then people down in Brazil, I guess, got bored, and they started doing some kind of like, chicken crossbreeding. And they made giant chickens, literally giant chickens. And you may think, if you haven't seen these, I mean, they've been on the internet for a while. They've been on social media and stuff like that. But if you haven't seen them, Google the Indio Gigante chicken, because they're friggin' big. They are between 3 and 4 feet tall. and they apparently are very friendly, very nice in temperament, good with kids. They apparently lay like a bunch of eggs, and the eggs are extra big. They look like friggin' little velociraptors running around your yard. Well, not little. I mean, they're almost as tall as I am, and I think that's pretty cool. So I got a couple. I ordered two. They're going to be coming in September, so I'm looking forward to that. I got a couple other chickens as well. There's one chicken that's called the Liege Fighter, and that one is, I guess, a really stocky chicken. It gets to be about between 15 to 18 pounds, which is pretty big for a chicken. And apparently these guys are really good ass kickers. They're able to fight off hawks and other predators. So I guess you don't mess with those ones. I got one of those. I got one that's called, I think it's called an Ayam Samani chicken. It is pure black. Like everything on the chicken is pure, like pitch black. The eyes, the wattles, the beak, the feet, everything is pure black. When you look at it, you're like, oh man, like what am I even looking at? It's just like this little blot of darkness. It's pretty cool. We got a couple other ones that had some neat little egg colors and stuff. So looking forward to those. I've got some work ahead of me. We haven't had any chicks here at Galloway Farms for probably a couple years. The last batch of chickens we got, a friend of mine who has a pretty big like quasi farm going, lives a couple hours away, but we talk a lot on the internet and stuff like that. She was willing to take those chickens from chick to teenager stage, and then we picked them up when they were old enough to join the flock. So I skipped out on the chick phase last time. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of mess. But I'll get the chicks this time. I'll have to set up a little space. You put them in a little a warmth area where they stay warm all the time, and you got to make sure there's netting on it so they don't escape, and you get them to the point where they're big enough to be in the yard, and you got to introduce them to the flock. It's like a whole thing. But I think it'll be worth it. I think the sight of seeing two literally 4-foot chickens. Just imagine that for like a second. And they're not like huge and big and fat like a regular chicken. It's not just like your regular chicken, just like upsized. It's like, it's a really tall, skinny kind of chicken. It's kind of weird looking. Just go Google it and check it out. So seeing a couple of those guys walking around my yard is very exciting to me. And I'm very much looking forward to that. So I will report back. Probably won't have any updates until September. That's when the chicks arrive. We'll have to go pick them up, and it'll be a couple months before they're, big enough to be doing much of anything except staying in their little coop and being warm. So we'll do some more updates. I'll send some pictures. I'll post them to the Discord when the time comes, and it'll be a fun little adventure we can all go on together. So, all right, that's all the housekeeping I had this week. I don't have anything game related because I just don't, and we're going to move on. Let's see. I mentioned GameCritics.com a second ago. Y'all know that I'm editor, been editor there for decades. And right now I'm going to shine a little spotlight on some stuff that you may have missed if you haven't clicked over there lately. Last week, what do we have? We had Star Fox review from Ryan Nally, the brand new remake of a very old game. I believe Ryan said it looked good and had some bells and whistles, but was basically the same old thing. And there wasn't really a lot, to speak of if you've already been through it a couple times before. And I think that's like is it really like the third or the fourth time that content has been remade? I feel like I played the original when it was new. I bought it when it was brand new back in the day for N64. And I believe I've played it again on one of the other up-res versions that came out after that. And then I don't know what, but it's been a couple times. So there's that. We had a review of Peppered, an existential platformer, which I covered in the show a while ago. Really liked it. It's very Eastern European. It's very nihilistic. It's really weird. It's anti-capitalist. It's strange, funny, interesting. It's good stuff. Tom Stone wrote about that, and he loved it. He absolutely loved it. He gave it very, very good marks. So check that one out if you are interested in political platforming. And last review I'm going to mention right now is Electronic Arts UFC Sports 6. Brad Bortone, the other Brad at Game Critics. He is the sports guy. He covers all of our sports games, which is great because I play none of the sports games. So you've got one Brad who does sports, one Brad who hates sports, and I think we've achieved a perfect balance there. He covered UFC 6, and he says it's the best that UFC has been, but that is not to say that it has nowhere to improve. I think he liked it, but overall still identified many places where it could be better. So there you go. Heads up, our YouTube channel is still there, youtube.com/@gamecritics.com videos for trailers, quick looks, reviews, video reviews. Eugene Sachs is our man on YouTube, and he's doing lots of stuff over there, so check that out. And I think that brings me to the circle backs, where we circle back to things that we have covered in depth on previous episodes. Not going to get into everything all again right now, but these are just quick updates to let you know if my thoughts have changed on something for better or for worse after spending more time with it. And my big circle back for this week, it's only one, is Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Despite being an older game from, I don't know, at least 10 years ago, if not more, I think it's probably one of the bigger game releases of this year. A lot of people have been asking for it. A lot of people have been excited for it, myself included. And it really paid off. I think that Ubisoft really brought it. It's a good game just as it was, but they have done a few tweaks to it, changed some quality of life stuff. They got rid of the sci-fi Abstergo stuff, or almost all of it. Like 99% of it has been removed, which is great because that's what everybody wanted. It's been prettied up a little bit. It's just great. Having a good time with it, but I kind of forgot how large these Ubisoft open worlders can be. The last one I played was Odyssey, and I love Odyssey. That is by far my favorite Assassin's Creed game by a very wide margin. Odyssey is fantastic. The Greek theme, it's funny. Cassandra is like an amazing lead character. She goes on all these adventures. There's a little bit of mythology. There's monsters. I mean, it's just like a fucking ripper of a game. And Odyssey is huge. It's like very, very large game. Hundreds of hours you could easily wring out of it. And I think it's got like 4 or 5 DLCs attached to it, which I did everything in Odyssey because I loved it so much. And I loved Cassandra so much. But it's been a while. It's been a while since I did one of these. I haven't really been down with Ubisoft lately. Not avoiding it or anything, but just nothing's really caught my eye from them lately. But I'm jumping into this one. This is probably my first real legit effort of getting into it. I jumped into the 360 up-res version, playing it on Xbox X last year. Liked it, but it was kind of hard to play. Like the controls are kind of weird. Graphics weren't the greatest. And I had heard rumors this was coming, so I held off. I'm glad I did because this is here now. So this is my first real lean into Black Flag. And it's great. I love the main character. Edward Kenway is great. He's not as good as Cassandra, but he's very good. I think he's very good. It's got a great supporting cast. I think there's a lot of interesting characters. And I've heard that Ubisoft has expanded the role of the supporting characters, which is great. And it's just a large fucking game. As I'm sitting here in front of my TV, I'm almost overwhelmed by how much stuff there is to do. And I remember that was very common back in the day. There was like scope creep and size bloat and just like endless quests. And that was kind of like the norm for a while. And then we kind of got away from that. So going back to it is really weird. Like I'm looking at like all the islands in the Caribbean that you can sail your ship to and explore, and all the icons on the map that you can hoover up, and all the shanties to collect, and all the treasure chests to find, and all of the Abstergo points to collect, and all the rare animals to find, and all of the side quests and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, my face is melting off because there's like so much to do here, and it's so large. It's almost like somebody gives you like the world's most giant hamburger, and it's like, it's delicious and you want it, but like, where do you even start, and how do you even make a dent in it? And of course the answer is bit by bit, but like, it still feels very overwhelming. So I gotta say, I have not felt so overwhelmed by a game in quite some time. I'm trying to think of the last time I felt so like, oh shit, this is just like the most enormous game. It's been a minute, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm trying to fabricate a game plan. Like I don't want to burn out before I finish this game. I really would like to finish it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just like lean into the main quests. And the game is very, very good about telling you about what is a main quest, what is a side quest, what is a optional gear quest, what, there's 5 or 6 different quest types at least that I've discovered so far. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get all confused and wrapped up in all this shit. Like, I'm going to stick to the main quest for now. Get some mileage under my feet and kind of, learn what's what and assemble my crew and do the basic stuff. And then when I feel like I've got a good handle on things, then maybe I'll branch out to some of the side stuff. But even so, still overwhelming. There's so many places to go. There's so much stuff to see. So many things that are kind of vying for your attention in this game. And I don't mean that like in a bad way, but it's just like, oh Jesus, like, okay, I'm certainly not going to rinse every island. Like, there's way too much stuff on every island. So I'm going to just like, I'm going to forget some of these treasure chests and forget some of the shanties. Who cares about that? And let's just get to some other like more important stuff. And there's just like a lot. There's just like a ton. So I'm currently drowning in Black Flag, but it's not a bad sensation, but I do need to stay focused. My head is spinning a little bit. So, but it's good. And one thing that I will say too is, one thing I like about this is the old school combat. People who are trained on the most recent Assassin's Creeds may not know this or may not have seen this before, but combat used to be way simpler back in the day, and it was almost like basically parry combat, but a very, very accessible. So like what happens is you go up to a crowd of dudes, they kind of form a circle around you or whatever, and then these guys will attack you, and they'll do either a blue glint on their blade or a red glint on their blade. Red is unblockable, means you got to dodge. And if you dodge that, you open them up for a really strong counterattack. If it's blue and you parry it, they're open for an instant kill. So like all you got to do is like parry, and the parrying is really easy. It's very, very easy. We're not talking Dark Souls parry or anything. This is like, you see the blue glint, you push the button, you've parried. Like success. It's very, very simple. And so you kill those guys, and I'm not sure if it's the game or it's my weapon, but like when I parry a guy, he is open for an instant kill, and then I get one more bonus instant kill on top of that. So if there's any other guys standing nearby, it's like parry, instant kill, second instant kill. So you're like burning through guys really quickly. And I kind of like that. I really do kind of like that, because it kind of shows your main character, Edward Kenway, as being super deadly. And it also kind of shows like the fragility of life a little bit. It's very easy to lose your life, and like a lot of bad stuff can happen. And you know, it's like the opposite of when you play these damage sponge games where you're hitting a guy with a sword like 75 times and his life is just like, you know, chipping down, and it just feels so tedious and fake. You can kill like almost anybody in this game with like one hit. Like even some of the story characters that you have to go fight. Like for example, there was a story character who was like another rival assassin type guy. And if you get the drop on him, it's just like one hit, like he's dead. Like that's it. Like it's over. So I appreciate that you can really cut through the combat if you want to. It's not like Dark Souls or anything. It's not this giant war of attrition. It's just like you get in, you get out, you do the combat, you parry, you assassinate guys. Like it's very free flowing and fast. And I really like that a lot. I feel like it keeps the game moving and you're not bogged down. Every encounter is not this giant fucking slog, which is really nice. So I appreciate that. I think they were kind of onto something back then. I know that we got away from that and kind of leaned into like the minutia and the grittiness of combat. But there's not anything saying that we can't have multiple types of combat. So I appreciate this throwback, enjoying it quite a bit. And in general, enjoying Black Flag quite a bit. It really is, I think, easily one of the best Assassin's Creed games overall. I would still put, at least so far, I would still put Odyssey above this. Just because I like the Greek theme a lot more, and I think Cassandra is a little bit of a stronger main character, a little bit more humor in it too. But I feel like Black Flag and Odyssey are kind of peas in the pod. I think they're both excellent, and I wouldn't want to play them back to back. But if you like one, I would bet almost anything that you're going to enjoy the other one as well. So definitely liking it a lot. My intention is to finish, and I will report back as I get further along with Black Flag. All right, that brings us to the brand new games of the show. We've got 4 games to talk about. Some of these I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on. The first one is Case Solved, The London Files, playing this on Switch 2. This is supposed to be a cozy kind of detective game where you solve small-scale cases. Artwork is like 2D hand-drawn artwork. Everything is kind of just like chibi and cute. And I was up for something like this. I need something for a bedtime game for the Switch, and this seemed like a likely candidate. I will say, though, I noped out of this like almost immediately. So basically, you have a number of cases, and you get into these cases, and I guess I just don't understand what the people were even going for. Like, the concept of this game does not make any sense to me, because on its surface, it seems like it's going to be a detective game where you talk to witnesses, find clues, put the clues together to kind of figure out what the case is, and then like you point the finger at a perpetrator and then you solve the case. That's what it looks like you're going to be doing. That is 100% not what you do. So this is a very abstracted kind of puzzle experience, and it baffles me what it was even supposed to be, because what happens is you start a game and you're the detective, and then you go to a crime scene. And the first crime scene, the very first one was like, a musician has been strangled with a wire from their own instrument. Okay, that's fine. Totally fine. A great start to any detective case. That's a good enough start for anything. And so you go to a crime scene, and you're like on a street, and there's a couple people standing around. There's like 3 suspects, and then like another police officer is standing around. So you click on them, and they just say like weird stuff. They just say like, oh, it's over there or something. And I go, what's over where? Like, what are we talking about? So what you end up doing is you talk to each person once. They'll say some like random, like one-off quote, and then you click on them again, and they tell you like you need to go find an item, and then the item is like in the environment. Sometimes it's hidden, sometimes it's not. But it's hard to see things in this game. Like, for example, I needed to find a handkerchief. Someone's like, hanky, my hanky's on the table. And I'm looking around and I'm like, I didn't see anything. And then after a few seconds of me not finding it, like the game auto detects that I am not finding it and highlights it for me. And I couldn't even see, like, it was like in plain sight. It just wasn't really legible visibly. So you click on these things and then you just pick up these random items. And then after you pick up the random items, you go to a quote unquote, like, you know, clue solving board, and everything is the same. It'll be like it's like a grid, like a little, like a spreadsheet. And then on top, it'll be like the three suspects plus the cop or something, or just the three suspects. And you'll have to, excuse me, determine they were standing where, holding what item, and what was their motive. And I'm like, I don't, what? Like, I don't even understand. Like, okay, maybe I can say where they're at, because it'll be like, oh, the person holding the handkerchief was not by the door, and it's one of those like process of deduction things. But like, I'm not into this. Like, it's just like you're picking up these items and they're just giving it to you. You're not putting the story together. There is no story. Like, you're just getting these items, and then you'd be like, okay, whoever was holding the handkerchief wasn't jealous. And I'm like, how would I even know who's jealous of what? There's no motive here. There's no understanding anybody's motive. And so you're just randomly plugging in these things like a logic puzzle, but it might as well just be anything. You could be doing it with shapes. You could be doing it with animals. It doesn't have to be a detective game. And like, none of it like makes any sense. It's like impossible to follow the cases because there aren't any cases. You're just like getting these items, talk to a person, pick up a random item, plug it into the spreadsheet, and then you're done. And then you move on to the next thing. And I'm like, what? This is like so weird. Like, it's so strange. I don't understand what they were going for, why they made it a detective game, or make it look like a detective game anyway. It was just so puzzly and abstract and incredibly unsatisfying, where you just end up doing the same type of puzzle over and over and over. But there's no story. There's like some lines. Like, when you talk to the people, there'll be some one-liners they do, but they're not funny. They're not entertaining. They're just kind of annoying. I was allergic to this game from the get-go. Like, I did not understand the premise. I did not understand why they're doing this. I could not understand why anybody would create this game. It just doesn't fit like what it is. It's like if you looked at a piece of pizza and you're like, oh, that's pizza. And then you bit into it and it tasted like mud. And you're like, oh, it's actually mud. Oh no, but it looks like pizza, but it's actually mud. Why is it like this? I don't know. That's kind of the experience I had with this, was like, it just is so weird and abstract, and there's no real effort made to make this be a believable case, or for there to be any characters, or for there to be any kind of a story. There's no deduction other than this logic puzzle of if this, then that. But you're not really thinking about who was mad or who was jealous or who wanted to get the money. I mean, it's so weird. It's such a weird experience, but not a good weird. It's just like a very off-putting weird. And plus on top of that, it's just hard to see the items too. You end up doing kind of not necessarily a pixel hunt, but like, there's a few times that I'm like, what are we talking about? The thing is where? And I'm kind of looking at it and it's just kind of hard to see. So, total fail on this one. I'm very confused and frustrated by this one. And it just is like this alien thing that dropped into my lap, and I just don't get it like at all. So I don't know. I out of curiosity, I went to Metacritic to see what other people are saying. And I see some people making the same complaints that I have about the cases not making sense and it's kind of random, but it seems like most people really enjoyed the coziness of it and it was cute and they had fun. And I'm like, okay, cool. If you had fun and it was cute, go for it. But like, to me, this was just like a very, very, very bizarre experience that I am not super eager to repeat. So anyway, that is Case Solved, The London Files. I could not get out of this one fast enough. Continuing the hot streak, I played a game called Turnip Mountain. This is a 2D, I guess, physics kind of climbing game. It looks like it's like 8-bit style or something like that. Played it on the Switch 2, or was it PlayStation 5? PlayStation 5, probably. And it looks a lot like some other games that I've played that I've really enjoyed. For example, it looks like Struggling. It looks like Cairn a little bit. Not like it looks like them, but like the same idea of using your hands to climb up something, using each hand, getting a grip, crawling up. That whole physics thing is something that I think is really fun and interesting. I like it when games do that kind of thing. So I'm like, oh, let's check this out. Obviously, it's very different in style. You are a turnip, a literal turnip with 2 arms and 2 hands. You start off on the top of a mountain where you are gazing at stars. You get knocked off the mountain somehow. Still a bit unclear how that happened. And then you need to climb back up the mountain using your 2 arms and 2 hands, which are very human-like, despite the fact that you are a turnip. Very, very 8-bit style, kind of pixely, chunky. It's a cute visual style. But much like Case Solved, I wanted to put this down almost immediately as soon as I started playing it, and I'll tell you why. I think it all comes down to a strange decision about the controls that no other game of this type has done, as far as I know. So what happens is you have this turnip, and then there's all these surfaces that you can climb on. It's all 2D. It's all, just very, very kind of old school retro looking, but it's neat. So you get your arms. One stick is the right stick. The other stick is the other stick. Well, the other hand is the other stick, hand, whatever. You get it. You get what I'm saying. You get it. But the problem, and it hits you in the face like almost immediately, is that when you are, okay, so like you take your right stick and you extend your right arm and then you hold a button to grab with your right hand. That's all fine. That's par for the course. The problem came because you need to pull down on the stick in order to retract your arm. Now, this is something that no other climbing game that I have ever played does. And it seems like no big deal, but it is actually a huge deal because it is brain breaking and weird, and it feels super unnatural and unintuitive. So like you push down to extend your arm goes out, you grab, and then you need to pull up with that same stick in the opposite direction to make the arm retract and pull you in that direction. There's no possible way I can explain to you how alien and unnatural that feels, but it feels insanely difficult and weird and not good with capital N, capital G. In comparison, when you play most other games of this type, you simply have to direct your arm out, and then you move with your other arm. So like, for example, when you play like Cairn or something, you reach out with one arm, you grab on, and then you can maneuver around a little bit, but like you're really moving with your other hand. Like your other hand kind of pulls you along. And so you're not trying to retract the arm that you extended. You're kind of just like really focused on just getting your hands in a proper position. And it's similar with Struggling as well, where in that game, which is a classic and no one's played it except for me, please go play Struggling. It's amazing. Extremely difficult, but amazing. You have these arms, you're kind of doing the same thing, and you manage where your hands go, and then the body kind of like automatically handles the rest. So like if you put one hand out, grab onto something, then you move your other hand, the process of moving your other hand pulls your body along, and so you're kind of just really focused on hand placement, and that's what you're kind of going after. Sometimes you do like some momentum or swinging or something like that, but most of the time you're doing that. But in Turnip Mountain, the fact that they want you to retract the arms manually completely changes the game. Completely, like in my mind, it just ruins it and makes it super not fun and not playable, because that feeling of having to retract your arm changes the entire way your character moves. It changes how you grapple. It changes the amount of manual dexterity you have to have in order to make this work. It's way more difficult and way it just feels so bad. It feels so bad and unintuitive. And I just like, I could not get it. My brain refused to do it. I was making mistakes and I was really struggling on the very easiest courses where I'm like, oh my gosh, this just feels so bad. It feels so bad. And I went into the controls or the options to be like, okay, can I change this? Can I somehow flip this? Can I make it control like the other games do? Can I change? Nope. You have no control over that. You've got to play it the way that the developers designed it. And I respect that there's somebody out there who wanted to make this game the way it is, and they've spent a lot of hard effort and time and made this game to be what it is. But I'm like, bro, like I get, I get this probably makes sense to the developer, but I found it so impossible to come to grips with. It just felt terrible. I did not like it at all, and it was really difficult. Struggle, and I've played hard games, right? I'm not a stranger to hard games. I've played difficult games. I've played extremely challenging games. I beat Karen. I beat struggling. I've beat like a lot of like really difficult physics games. Like I'm not adverse to that, but the control just did not seem appropriate or pleasant, and the ability to not change it drove me fucking crazy. I did not get very far in Turnip Mountain. I just hated the controls. Hated the controls. Did not like it. And I wasn't going to sit there and try to retrain my entire brain in order to make it work. It just felt awful. So did not get very far. It's cute. I think Turnip Mountain looks cute, but the controls are just fucking insane to me, especially after playing all these other games that are kind of in the same genre. It's just, this is the outlier. And in this particular case, I don't think it is an outlier that is worthy. I don't think it was worth going against the grain for this particular control scheme. So, all right, Turnip Mountain. You can tell I loved it. Moving on. Moss, The Forgotten Relic just came out. I'm playing it on PS5. This is a compilation of the two Moss games, which were really well received on PSVR. I do not have a PSVR. I have played PSVR, but I do not have a PSVR because there's never really been anything there that I've been motivated enough to buy the unit for. But I had an eye on Moss. This is the one where you control. Okay, so here's the setup. You are an otherworldly spirit of some kind. You're like some other presence. And you are looking down on this little world full of woodland creatures. There's squirrels and toads and chipmunks and guinea pigs and all that stuff. And you're looking down upon the main character, who's a little girl mouse, and her name is something that I can't remember right now. Doesn't matter. She's a mouse. And so that's the setup. And if you, so imagine this in VR, right? So you're the VR person. They call you the reader, because they do kind of a book thing, like a framing device where you're kind of flipping through pages at some point, and then you get to the game and you go back to flip some more pages and you go back to the game. Like, I don't know, like Never Ending Story or something like that, where this world is apparently in a book and you're reading the book, but you're the reader, but this is also happening, and it's that kind of a thing. So you're looking down upon the world. The mouse is down there, and the mouse can see you. So it knows you're there, and you've got kind of this rapport going. But you control the mouse with your left stick. So left stick moves the mouse. You can jump with it. You can sword swipe. It's got a teeny little mouse sword. I think jump and sword are the only verbs. There's a dodge. I think there's a dodge. So those are the verbs for the mouse. And then you, as the entity looking down upon the mouse, you can move specific things in the environment, not just anything, but like every once in a while you come across like a block that has a very telltale, like filigree pattern on it, or there'll be a fence post or a rock or a door. Whenever you see that specific color pattern, you know that you can interact with that. And so you use the right stick to go and click on that thing, and you can like open a gate, or you can move a block, or you can extend a bridge, or you can do something like that. So that's the basic premise. You are the spirit. You're looking down on the mouse. You move the mouse with the left stick, and then you move your spiritual powers to affect the environment with the right stick. You can also heal the mouse. If the mouse gets into combat, you can click on the mouse with your right stick and heal them up all the way, which is nice. And so that's the setup. And clearly it was made originally for VR. So you'd be the person wearing the helmet. You would be the entity. You would feel as though you were like engaged in the world. And I'm sure that feels pretty cool. I've heard many people say that Moss was the best application of PSVR. I've heard that several times from several different people, and I believe it. I mean, playing this game, I can see like how cute and stuff it is. And if I was feeling like as though I was in it, able to look around the environment and be interacting with the mouse, I bet that would be pretty cool. So I believe that Moss is probably truly the best PSVR game that has been created, or at least people tell me. But it's flat. I'm playing the flat version. They brought it to regular PS5. I'm not sure if it's on other platforms or not. So that's the premise. And so far it's been okay. You can tell it is not made for flat screens because there's a lot of weird issues that come up, primarily the camera. So I would have to assume that in the original game with the PSVR helmet on, you would just simply like walk around, tilt your head, look at things, and that would kind of solve the camera problem, because that's just what VR is. In this version, you do not have that option, and I notice a lot of camera problems. Sometimes things are kind of out of view, where if you tilted your head, you would probably see it. They do not give you direct camera control, which sucks. I really do not like it. It's kind of like prefixed camera viewpoints. And for the most part, it's like, okay. But I've come across many places where it's been very hard to tell where the depth of something is. When I'm jumping from platform to platform, I have just like straight up missed jumps so many times, fallen into pits. And it's okay because the mouse just respawns and you try again. But it's just annoying where I'm like, you think you know where something is, you jump and it's not there, and you fall, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, and it's just, you can just tell it's a flaw in the game, that the perspective is off because you're not looking at it with VR camera. I do not think the camera works very well in this game. It's fine, it's serviceable, but a lot of weirdness with depth perception, a lot of missed jumps, a lot of kind of struggling to tell where something is in space, which I'm sure was totally not a problem with PSVR, but it is a problem here. So that's a thing. I feel like this game is very slow as well. There is a lot of telling and not showing, and that is wrong, because in the world, in reality, in real life, you always want to show and not tell. Show and not tell is the good thing to do. Tell and not show is the bad thing to do. And I feel like this game does a lot of telling and not showing. The cutscenes end up being you looking at pages in a book, which have very minimal animation, and they talk forever. And it's just this very kind of like flowery, oh, we're in the forest and this stuff is happening and it's all so precious and it's all, I mean, whatever. Maybe it's not my speed and that's fine. This game seems like it's maybe aimed at a slightly younger audience, which is okay too. That's not a criticism, but it's just the cutscenes are very dull. They have barely any animation. You're just watching these pages. You're turning the pages as the spirit guy. It's boring. I think it's really boring the way they tell the cutscenes. And there's not a lot of explanation about other things. For example, you pick up a couple different gauntlets. The mouse can wear a little gauntlet. Like the first one is made out of like leaves. And so she's got like these rolled up leaves on her hand. And then later on you get one that looks like it's feathers or something. And you can equip them, but it doesn't tell you anything about them. Like there's no stats, no abilities. I'm like, what is, okay, so I need some basic information here, folks. Like why would I choose one of these over the other? Or, like I have a couple different swords. I don't know what the difference between them is. There's a couple mechanics they don't explain very well or explain at all. And they kind of expect you to kind of figure it out as you go, which I guess is fine enough, I suppose, because I have figured it out as I went, but like, it's just not the optimal way. Like they seem to want to avoid tutorials. They seem to want to avoid any information. They want you to kind of just like pretend like you're there, I guess, which kind of sort of works, but also you're just playing a game. There is a pause menu. Like you gotta go to the menu screen. I mean, there's just the trappings of this. Like you're just not in this world. And I get that's what they're going for originally, but like there's just little nuts and bolts you have to take care of and you have to let the player know about. So I feel like that part is kind of rough. I feel like also just everything about this game is just really slow. Like you're going from screen to screen. Like it's not a contiguous world. So you'll be in one little area, you walk forward, and then it's got to go to like a screen wipe and go to the next screen. And that feels very slow and disruptive to immersion. You're not just walking from place to place. Like it's like walk, load, reload, walk. And, if you're retracing your steps, you end up like scrolling through a bunch of different screens as it reloads and reloads, which is like a drag. It's a drag. The bulk of gameplay so far is a little tiny bit of combat where you're just doing like a little 3-hit combo on some bugs. When you are the reader, you can grab the bugs with your spirit hand and like freeze them. And so you can grab the bugs, hold them still. The mouse can run up with your other stick and like whack them to death. So that works fine. There are a lot of bugs which shoot though, which is weird. And there's been a couple places where this game has been basically like dead easy for most of it so far. And then all of a sudden, when you put a couple shooting bugs in the room, the difficulty spikes. Like I got to this one room where I was just getting hammered. I was just getting battered back and forth because there was 3 bugs that were shooting at me all at once. And I was trying to pause them with my spirit hand and try to dodge. And I was trying to climb this thing and you had to get up these stairs and like it kept getting knocked off. And it was like, what is going on? Like this game was like ridiculously simple one screen ago. And now it is like intense combat. So that feels a little bit off and weird. It's very strange. Difficulty is kind of uneven a little bit. But the most of your time is what you're doing is you're navigating these puzzles where you have to like look at elements in the environment and then use your spirit hand to kind of adjust certain things. Like, for example, there's often these staircases that need to be rotated. So like you get the mouse on the staircase and then you use your spirit hand to rotate it to help the mouse out. So you do some stuff like that. A lot of block moving puzzles, a lot of bridge making puzzles. A lot of the rooms kind of like connect to each other in weird and unexpected ways, where you might have to backtrack a couple rooms to get to where you're going a minute ago. So it's kind of a weird game in that it seems very simple and straightforward and for kids, but then they'll throw in like a really tough combat room, or they'll throw in like backtracking 3 rooms back to get to something that you needed to get to a minute ago, which is fine, but like it seems kind of out of place for this game, which I could easily imagine a lot of young children playing. So it's kind of this weird kind of back and forth with some of these elements that don't quite feel like they jibe that well with each other. Couple different approaches towards development in the same room, apparently. But this game also comes with Moss 1 and 2. It's a compilation of both Moss titles. I have not finished Moss 1 yet. I'm about halfway through it, I think. Still kind of making my way through that. So we'll see how that goes. I'll report back if it seems significantly different. I hear these are not very long experiences, which makes perfect sense. Most VR games are not very long, so that's fine. But it's interesting and it's cute. Oh, geez, I almost forgot to mention the mouse does sign language. The mouse's name, Quill, is what her name is. I remember her name is Quill. She does like American Sign Language every once in a while, and it's I don't know why. It's really weird. It's really weird. It doesn't really relate to anything in the game, and it's like the mouse is talking to you, the player, using American Sign Language, but there's no subtitles or translation. So if you don't know American Sign Language, you have no fucking idea what the mouse is saying. It's so random. Now listen, I am an expert in American Sign Language. I am a qualified national level world-class expert in sign language. So I know sign language. And so I'm watching the mouse do a couple signs. And at first I'm like, okay, that's really cute. But like, if I didn't know sign language, I'd be like, what the hell is this mouse saying? Like the very first time the mouse does it, I think she signs something like help, please, because you need to move a block for her. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But there's no translation of it. And if I was a regular person, I'd be like, what is this mouse doing? They don't do a lot of it. It's very, very few. I've only seen a couple instances of it. It's not a constant thing. And I guess I don't know why they're doing it. Like, it's just somebody on the dev team thought it was neat. They wanted to put it in. It doesn't really connect to anything. I don't know why they're doing it. At another point, the mouse signs doubt. Like, I don't believe this, or this isn't real, or something like that. But I guess I don't know what that was referring to. So I was confused by that. I'm like, what are you trying to tell me? Because I see what you're saying. I see the sign you're using, but I don't understand how it relates to what I'm looking at on the screen. And then they just drop it. So it's interesting. I love seeing sign language in games. That's great. And if anybody out there wants to incorporate that, please hit me up. I'd be happy to help you out with that for a fee. But it's just so weird and random that they put it in there. It's just very interesting. And I guess I'll have to read up on it to find out why they did that. Maybe it becomes a bigger part of the game later on. It seems like a total just throwaway right now, but anyway, just a really weird thing. So it's really cute. I'm still making my way through it. They do a lot of telling, not showing. It's very slow, some weird difficulty spikes. And again, I can see what they were going for in VR. It makes more sense to me in VR than it does flat, because I am encountering some mechanical difficulties with it being flat, but it's still cute. And if you were like me and was curious about Moss and did not want to pay for the VR headset, because it would be pretty Looney Tunes to buy an entire VR headset just to play like one game, this is your chance to check it out. And I think I'm going to hold reserve. I'm going to hold and reserve and hold my judgment until I get further in. And I am curious to see how Moss 2 stacks up with Moss 1. So it's interesting. It's very interesting on multiple levels. And I think it's always a curious thing when you bring something VR over to flat. But we'll see how it goes. I'm still kind of chewing through it and kind of mulling it over. No final judgment yet. So we'll see what happens. That is Moss, the Forgotten Relic, a compilation of the 2 PSVR Moss titles now available for your flat screen. Last game of the show, High Times. This is one I actually avoided for a while because of the title. I thought it was something to do with marijuana, because we're getting a whole slew of marijuana games these days, and those are not of my interest. Just as a quick heads up, I was not born in Washington. I'm not from Seattle, but I have lived in Seattle for decades, originally from California. But when we first moved to Washington back in the day, we lived in like semi-rural part. I mean, I don't know. We were kind of out in the sticks, but like not so far that we didn't know what civilization looked like. Anyway, we were in a part of Washington where it was just really boring and there wasn't much to do except for like get high or get pregnant. And that was kind of the environment where I grew up, like in school and high school. So, and in addition to my dad being like an alcoholic, a lot of my friends were like druggies or were really, really addicted to like stuff. There was like parties every weekend that I tried to avoid and people smoking all the time. So I have a personal distaste of any kind of drugs or alcohol. I'm a complete straight edge. I don't do any alcohol, don't do any drugs of any kind. Um, and so I do not care for that kind of stuff in general. And so I thought this game was like, obviously high times. I mean, what else are you supposed to assume from the fucking title? I thought it was like some kind of weed simulation or whatever. So I just like kept on skipping it. And then I don't know what happened, but at some point it caught my attention again and they were like, "Oh, it's about making donuts." And I'm like, "Donuts with weed in them?" Or like, what are we talking about? And there is, I don't want to say it's a drug aspect, but the part of this game that I guess they call it High Times, and I think it's a really unfortunate title, is that it's a visual novel slash dating simulator where you also run a donut shop. And in the donut shop, you have the ability to manipulate people's moods and feelings by making them the donut that they want. So it's not drugs per se, but there's definitely that aspect of it, I guess. And in a way, it's almost a little bit like Coffee Talk, where if you've played that one, visual novel slash barista game, one of the first of this new wave, if you made somebody the right drink that they wanted, they would be in a better mood and their story would continue. You would get better dialogue options with them. And that's kind of how this happens here. Somebody comes in and they say, "Oh, I'm feeling such and such a way. I really wish I had a donut to make me feel better." And based on what they tell you, you have to figure out from your available menu and ingredients what donut they want. And if you guess it right, then they will feel better and you'll gain relationship points with them. And I haven't missed one yet. So I guess I'm not sure what happens if you get it wrong, maybe fewer points or something like that. But that's kind of how you progress. So it's unfortunate they called it High Times. It's really just about donuts and about emotions and moods, which I guess you could say they are sort of positioning to be kind of like mood altering substances in the form of donuts, but it's really not about drugs at all. So let's just clear that up. Anyway, 2D hand drawn visual novel playing it on the Switch 2. You are working in a donut shop. Your owner leaves you in charge, and then you're just running the place on your own. And then a bunch of people come in. At the start of the game, they introduce you to, I want to say 5 or 6 of your exes. So I don't know, kind of a vague Scott Pilgrim thing going on, I suppose. And they ask you which one, if you had the choice, which one would you do over? Like which relationship would you fix? And so you kind of look through and decide which one. You pick one, whichever one appeals to you at the moment based on very little information. And then the game progresses and then you just see what happens. Dialogue is okay. It's fine. Not super engaging, but I think it's better than some. They seem to be really leaning heavily into the voice actors. They have, every time a new character is introduced, they introduce the character and the voice actor. And they seem to be making a big deal about all the different voices, which is ironic because I'm not listening to it with the voices on. I did put it on for a second to see what it was about just because. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's just voices. So, I mean, I guess look it up. And if you're a fan of any of the people in this game, maybe check it out for that reason. But voice acting is almost never like a draw for me. So it's kind of weird that they're spending so much effort on that in terms of promoting it within the game and also just outwardly as well. In some of the PR, the last PR blast I got had like a whole list of voice actors, and I mean, that's cool if that's your jam. Check it out. It doesn't do a lot for me, so I kind of just like let it roll off my back, whatever. So these people come in, they say some things, and then they ask you to make them a donut. The donut process is pretty simple. You just push a couple times, and then you choose like to put whatever frosting on it or toppings and stuff like that. You start off with like basically nothing at the beginning. The beginning you can only make like vanilla donut. So you get the dough, you punch out a donut shape, you fry it for a second, you put white frosting on it, and then you're done. It's pretty simple. Soon after that, you get sprinkles, you get blueberry flavor, which has a different kind of feeling. Like I think the vanilla, makes you feel happier. Blueberry makes you feel, I don't know, like sincere or contemplative or something like that. You get another donut shape that has no hole, where it's just like a whole circle, and a few other things. And then it just goes on and on from there. And then you get a little recipe book as well. So I'm not super far into it. I'm only like maybe 3 or 4 chapters in. Like nothing major has happened. I've just made like a bunch of donuts, which starts to feel repetitive after a while. And then people come in and talk to me about stuff. Not super invested in any of the characters so far. I, you know, like they're just there. I don't have any connection with any of them, and a couple of them are like a little bit annoying. They seem kind of neurotic, but we'll see how that goes. I have not met all the characters yet. I will say that part of the game they lean into is like there's a whole bunch of stuff on the menu. There's like a fake social network. There's a fake dating app. There's a whole bunch of like fake apps on the game, and I don't want to really engage with that because it's just like a lot, and I don't want to do that much reading. Like I wanted this to kind of move like a little bit more quickly, so I've been kind of avoiding all the fake apps stuff. But there's a lot there. Seems like there's going to be a bunch there, which I guess is fine. I will say also on the plus side, this is a very gender neutral experience, which I think is awesome. So big props for that. You can make your character either male or female, and then you can customize them with all sorts of choices, hair, and I believe you have a couple choices for body shape, although they're not too extreme, that kind of thing. And then when you look at your exes, they're not all one gender or the other. You have a mix. So like I chose a female character, I created a female character, and then I believe the very first character I met as an ex was another lady. So suggesting a lesbian relationship there. And then the next character I met that was an ex was male presenting. So apparently a hetero relationship there. So it seems like they're just not making the distinction gay, straight, or whatever, which I think is totally A-okay fine. I think that works well. And it's just people having relationships, which is absolutely fine. And maybe if as a society we could get there, maybe everybody would be a little bit happier. Probably so. Probably solve a lot of fucking problems if people were not afraid to love the person that they actually were interested in, regardless of gender or presentation. So that part works well. And then I'm just kind of progressing. Nothing major happening so far. Just chatting, making a lot of donuts. So we'll see how this goes. No major choices, anything like that. But it looks appealing. The graphics are, bright and colorful. And that's fine. Apparently the voice work is pretty good, I guess, from what they tell me. I will say though, this game has some strange choices when it comes to UI and production. It does not run optimally on the Switch, which is really weird. There's been a few places where I've had some slowdown or some delay between putting an input in and when it actually happens on screen, which is bizarre. This game is not super high tech. It's not pushing any envelope of any kind. And the Switch 2 is basically a brand new machine that is way stepped up from the first Switch. And so it should be running like a fucking dream, and it doesn't, which is really strange. Load times are really long too, which is really strange. So I don't know what's going on with that. I will also say they really needed to go over the UI more closely. There's some weirdness and bugs. When you're on like the screen where you're making donuts, there's a couple, it's like how you navigate through the different items on the screen is really strange and unintuitive. I don't know how to get to like the recipe book, for example. I was trying all sorts of the buttons and the sticks and the D-pad and I couldn't get to it. So the only thing I could do was push it with my finger, which is not optimal. I do not like when like if that's an option, cool, let me know. But like there should be a way for people to navigate through all the on-screen items with the D-pad or the sticks or the buttons or the shoulder pad or whatever. And if it's more of a finger touchy touch button, then you need to let people know that ahead of time, or at least give people options of some kind. So there's been a few times when like I'm trying to navigate through parts of this game and like so I just can't get the cursor over there, and I end up getting frustrated and pushing it with my finger, and I'm like, this is really weird and not optimized, and I don't understand what is going on with this. It's just very strange. Like some parts of it seem pretty strange. There's one part where also there's like a little arrow and I couldn't figure out what the arrow was on screen, and I was really looking and I couldn't suss it. But it turns out it was supposed to be the arrow that is on one of the keys of the D-pad, and later on the rest of the D-pad appeared. And as soon as I saw it was the D-pad, I'm like, oh, it's the D-pad. But they only showed you one arm of the D-pad. I don't know if it was a mistake or a glitch or something, because it was just the one arm for a long time, and then it was the D-pad, and then it went back to being just the arm. So I think there's some kind of graphics error going on there. So I think just in general, they need to like optimize this thing a little bit better, work on the UI a little bit more, polish it up to have more of a streamlined player experience when playing on the Switch too. or I'm not sure how it handles on the other platforms, but there's like lots of like little bugs all over the place that keep it from feeling like it's silky smooth like it should be. And for a visual novel of this kind, like again, not super high tech. There's a million of these out there. I get there's a lot of voice acting crammed into it, but still, this thing should be butter. These problems have been figured out a long time ago by many other games that come before. So none of this should be really confusing or strange. And it seems like it's just kind of a sloppy port job, or maybe they haven't really bug tested it enough. So it's totally playable. I mean, I haven't hit any show-stopping bugs or anything, but it's just like a lot of like little irritations that kind of add up over time that are kind of like annoying me. But I'm still playing it. I do love a good visual novel. I do love a good dating sim. We'll see how entertaining Making Donuts is, and we'll just see what happens. So that is High Times. Again, nothing to do with marijuana, ironically, but it is about altering moods with donuts. There you go. All right, folks. Game portion of the show is now officially done, but every week I do spend a few minutes in front of screens that don't have menus or life bars. That's right. It is time for the TV and movie roundup. First up is Ride or Die, which was on Amazon. Yeah, it's a stupid title, but it stars Octavia Butler. No, that's not right. Is that right? Octavia Butler, is that her name? Octavia Butler and something Waddingham, the lady who was the boss from Ted Lasso. What an incredible fucking series. So incredible, I cannot remember their names. It's basically about these two best friends. I covered this like last episode, but let me recap real quick. Two best friends. One is kind of like a housewife who also has political leanings, and she's married to like an MP. And the other one is an assassin, but that's a secret. Like her friend doesn't know. Things go sideways for the assassin, and her normal political friend get kind of wrapped up in it. And they end up doing some James Bond shenanigans and having this like huge like country spanning adventure in Europe. It's billed as an action comedy. I think that is super not accurate at all. Yeah, there's laughs, but I wouldn't say it's a comedy. In fact, it's very heart wrenching and emotionally devastating in many ways. It's a tough watch in many ways. So basically, like long story short, this is a real amazing role for both of the leads who are both over 50. I believe Octavia, God, that's a wrong name. Fuck, hold on. Octavia Spencer. Boy, I fucked her name up. Apologies. She does a great job. She's an amazing actress. Anyway, these two women who are both over 50, Octavia is, I think, in her 60s. Looks great, by the way. And Hannah Waddingham, I think, is mid 50s, and she looks fucking amazing as well. And so number one, they are not doing the typical, like, quote unquote, Hollywood old woman role, right? I believe they were both producers on this, and so they created the roles for themselves, I'm guessing. And what an amazing fucking turn. They both show they have so much to offer, and that people are stupid for retiring women when they get past the age of 23, right? So the action scenes are fucking brutal. There's lots of spy shit that happens, like James Bond stuff. There's lots of like emotional stuff, but really the core of this show is the intense like love between these two women. It's just like they are best friends. They love each other and support each other like no matter what, and they have each other's backs. But that is tested time and time again because of the assassin's lies that get revealed and the other person's, self-esteem issues. And, they kind of go up and down, and they try to they have this whole back and forth about whether they're the true friends that they think they are. And it's just so fascinating. This amazing character study of these two women, their relationship. If it was two guys, you would call it like a bromance. And I was asking what the female equivalent of that is, and people were telling me it's a womance, which makes perfect sense. These two women are not romantically involved, but they are just so there for each other. Like two people can really be there for each other when you've got that deep friendship, that deep connection, and when you really love someone and trust someone. That's what we're seeing on the screen, and it is just like amazing to watch. They do a fantastic job. Lots of emotionally difficult aspects of the show. Lots of violence that's a little bit tough to watch. Like it really goes places. It goes places I did not expect. But overall, fantastic fucking show. Totally recommend this. I think it's a wonderful vehicle for both of these actresses who are amazing. And me and the wife just we're glued to this thing the whole way through. So Ride or Die, stupid title, but it is an amazing show. Definitely recommended 100%. Otherwise, still watching Strange New Worlds, Star Trek, and that is just blowing me away at how adroitly, it is funny. It is way funnier than I thought it was going to be. We were expecting like a regular ass Star Trek show, and it is like, I mean, it is a Star Trek show, but it is also hilariously funny. They are doing such brilliant stuff with the medium, with Star Trek itself, with the meta observation of culture and of how Star Trek's place is within it, and the different character tropes that they're playing with. It is just so funny. It is so brilliant and so original and cute. I think it's fantastic stuff. I'm really liking it a lot. It is, I mean, I was expecting it to be good because people told me it was good. It is way better than I was led to believe. And the wife and I are just like super 100% into it. It is just a very, very entertaining show. I think even if you don't know Star Trek, I think you might find it to be a worthwhile watch. But if you do like Star Trek, I cannot imagine there's any Star Trek fan out there who does not love this show. I think it is so great and clever and witty and such a love letter to Star Trek itself in so many ways. And the cast is really coming into their own. I think the performances are just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And this is the show where they spend a lot of time with the new actor taking over Spock's role and the new actor taking over Captain Kirk's role. And at first, it was really, really hard to not see them as Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner. But I think they got there. I think they're both really filling those roles in, and I'm really kind of buying them as those iconic characters, and the whole thing is just going really, really well. So Strange New Worlds is fucking great. I think it's just really good stuff. Season 4 just started, and I believe I think there's a real danger of it being canceled because Paramount is super, super right wing, and I know they don't want to have any woke stuff on their network. But I believe they had already contracted for Strange New Worlds to go for at least 5 seasons, which I hope they do. For story reasons, it can only go for 5 seasons. So we'll see what happens because they do tie Strange New Worlds into the mainline Star Trek series. Strange New Worlds actually happens before the old school 60s Star Trek, so we kind of know what the outcome of certain things are. So technically, it can only run for 5 seasons max. But who knows what'll happen. If we don't get to do that 5th season, that's going to be really, really shit. So we'll see what happens. Last thing, just watched Supergirl, the movie, last night. That's what a interesting and frustrating watch. So this is the new DC reboot, the new rebooted DC universe. Supergirl is, of course, Superman's cousin. They explain her origin and why she didn't die on Krypton, etc., etc. That's all fine. The actress they picked, I think, is a good one. I think she does the job well. They spend a lot of time with Crypto, the dog, and I don't like how the dog is 100% CG. It's kind of weird looking to me, but whatever. But this movie is kind of strange. It's strange because it was PG-13, and to be honest, I feel like it almost needed to be like an R sometimes because of some of the topics they touch on. Basically, long story short, is that Supergirl is like a fuck up and a screw up, and she's a drunk, and she's just like, she's been through a lot because her family's dead, her planet's dead. I mean, the same kind of thing that Superman went through, but she didn't have the exact same upbringing that he did, and so she's handling it a different way, and she's a different person, and she was not a baby when she lost her parents. She was like, I don't know, I want to say young teen or something like that. So she had a lot more background with the Kryptonian side of things before she came to Earth. So that causes her some problems. She's clearly going through a lot of trauma and stress and just not handling it very well. So she's like this no account, chaos bringer, alcoholic chick who's just getting into like a bunch of trouble all across the galaxy. And they run into some like really fucking revolting bad guys. They're called the Brigands or something. I don't read DC comics, so I don't know if these are based on anybody or what, but they're just basically like these female slavers. They go around kidnapping young girls for the explicit purpose of breeding. I mean, they say that in the movie. Like, they just like come right out and say they're kidnapping all these girls for breeding because they are an all male species, which, Jesus Christ, could you imagine anything fucking worse? I sure fucking couldn't. An all male species. And so they kidnap other females from other planets and stuff to continue their fucking disgusting race. The whole thing is like, it's gross. Like, this whole thing is fucking gross. It reeks of incel energy. The bad guys do. And it's just like difficult material. And so Supergirl is just like fucking up and fucking up and fucking up. And like, I was kind of frustrated watching this because I wanted her to be better. And I get that this is a character development story. She goes from being a drunk screw up who can't handle her problems to somebody, I mean, this is not a spoiler. I mean, come on, to somebody who gets her shit together by the end of the movie. Where else is that movie going to go? Like, that's the only place it can go. So that's fine. But like, I needed to see some of these bad guys get killed, and like this was a very bloodless movie. Like, it was almost like weirdly and notably bloodless. Like, there's lots of fights, and these guys are disgusting. They're disgusting monsters. And Supergirl like did that same old trope of like, oh, if you kill somebody, then you're just as bad as them, which is horse shit, which is absolute horse shit. I don't believe that for a second. I think that is a fucking psyop from the right to convince us not to fight back. But like, I just needed to see these bad guys get killed, and they just didn't get killed until like the very end. And then we get a little bit of blood, and it just wasn't nearly enough. I needed these scumbags to suffer. So it was frustrating that it was such a bloodless film. Lobo, the DC bad boy, shows up, and he's played by Jason Momoa, who also played, didn't he also play, not Merman, Aquaman? Aquaman? Is he playing two characters in the DC universe? It was weird. He didn't really add a lot. It felt strange that he was there. It was almost like they didn't think Supergirl could handle the movie on her own, so they brought Lobo in to kind of like support, which wasn't not necessary for me. He didn't add a lot, and it was weird that he was there. So it was like, I mean, whatever. I mean, was it the best movie I've ever seen? No. Do I think that the lead actress did a good job? Yes, I think she did a good job. I think she was a good choice. I think she did the best with the material she was given. I think it was just like a weird movie, just a weird, spending all this time with these female slavers and just not killing them was just strange, and giving people a chance to come back and be bad again and again was just really weird. So anyway, it was a strange film, not my favorite film. I certainly don't think it was like as bad as some of the incels were ranting about. I mean, fuck those guys anyway. But it was definitely a weird film. So I don't know. Anyway, it was a thing. We watched it, whatever. All right, that is a show. Before the closing music, we'd love for you to leave reviews, share the show on social media. Most important of all, please recommend this show to your friends, because nothing beats good old word of mouth. As always, we'd love to get your questions and comments. You can hit me up directly at sovideogamespodcast@gmail.com. Hit me up on social media. I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's my name, BradGallaway, always. No O's. You can also reach me in the Soviet Games Discord, which is totally free of charge to join. Just hit me up in any of the methods I have just mentioned, and I will get you on board to continue the conversation. And finally, if you like this episode and you want to hear more, you can help support this show and also sister site GameCritics.com by going over to patreon.com/the Soviet Games Podcast. Every single dollar helps, and €1 helps that much more. Folks, that's going to do it for episode 499. Thank you again for joining me here on the Soviet Games Podcast, and I'll see you next week for episode 500. Okay, so real talk. 500 is a big number. It's kind of a milestone. But if you're a regular listener of the show, you know that I don't really celebrate a lot of stuff like that. I'm just kind of allergic to it. So I don't really have anything super, super duper special planned for episode 500. And I know a lot of people feel like we should celebrate it. And I kind of agree, but like, I'm just not that guy. I don't know. So like, I need your help, folks. Like, what do you want me to do for episode 500? We had a couple of suggestions. Ron, superfan Ron, hit me up in the Discord. He had a good idea. Unfortunately, I could not fulfill that idea for reasons. And I don't know what else to do. I mean, a show's going to happen. We're not going to skip the week. I mean, we're definitely going to do a show. But if you've got an idea, suggestion, anything you want to hear, request, help me out. Like, help me out. What should we do for episode 500? I have no fucking idea. But if you've got an idea, I would love to get an idea. Drop me a line, hit me up, Blue Sky, Instagram, Discord, email. Get in touch. If you're a listener, if you've been listening for all 500 episodes, if you're a recent listener and you like the show, anybody listening, what should I do for episode 500? You tell me. I'll see what ideas we get. I'll see what ideas I have. I'll ask my wife. She's a pretty smart lady. And we'll see what happens. And it may just be an extra regular show. Who knows? Maybe nothing will happen, or maybe something amazing will happen. Who can say? Don't know. Okay. Thank you for listening this long, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.